2022. Hello, good evening. Welcome to a late night UFO space. I'm your host, Gabriel Speaks. You're watching the Gabriel Speaks Podcast because this is an interesting time. Now, there are some serious accusations being levied against one Garry Nolan about essentially taking people's DNA. And we are hearing from the back channels that there may have been a patent put down by Garry Nolan that might have to do with some type of nasal spray or some type of inhalant that will activate maybe some part of your brain that isn't typically active. I'm not sure. But Garry Nolan has a lot of patents. In fact, just since 2017, he's associated with 26 patents alone. And those are wide-ranging. A lot of them he developed himself just so he could conduct the research that he's trying to do. Now, I don't love or hate Garry Nolan, but I really don't like people that take advantage of other people, if you haven't figured that out about me yet. And if he's going around stealing DNA and making patents out of it and potentially making millions of dollars without these folks' permission, somebody needs to do some answering of some real questions and not this roundabout, read between the lines answers. So this is Garry Nolan in 2022 on Tucker Carlson. And then we're going to talk about what Matt Gaetz said. I think it was the Benny something podcast. I don't know. I can't keep up with them anymore. But he basically said that there's a hybridization program. Now, what that means, the depths of it, he didn't really go into, but it's probably a little bit different than what we picture when we think hybrid. We think like people getting taken up into a ship and some alien jacking off a dude and making an alien hybrid baby and then turning it into, if you listen to David Jacobs, it becomes a hybrid. And there's some pretty slanderous accusations out there about some of the things Jacobs did to some of these folks when they were in their supposed reverse hypnosis state. So we're going to take a look at what Matt Gaetz had to say about this hybrid program. So here we go. This is Garry Nolan from 2022 on the Tucker Carlson show, heavily edited.
Things that we noticed in these individuals, and this is sort of a side study which I'm working on with a group at Harvard, is we noticed that an area of the brain, the caudate putamen, in many of these individuals was overdeveloped. And that's a whole other story, but basically we figured out that this is an area where intuition happens, and a lot of these individuals who we had were, let's call them high functioning. You don't get to be a pilot of a expensive craft without being reasonably smart and having intuition. And so just a side benefit of studying this allowed us to come up with a medical understanding of where cognition is happening in the brain, and we're following up with that in a mainstream science way with a neurophysiology group at Harvard.
So was there consistency in symptoms?
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
what were some of the symptoms?
Inflammation, nausea are the two most. I mean, if I irradiate you with a whole body irradiation, you're going to get sick, you're going to throw up, you're going to, depending upon which organ system was, let's say, most impacted directly, you're going to basically have problems with that. But the commonalities were the skin issues and then some internal issues with the brain. I mean, when you see brain damage, that's when people start paying attention.
He's like definitely describing what my friend Eric Mitchell had gone through, right? Like he had this experience and it caused serious damage, including skin, brain, physical damage to his eyes. So this was real stuff that was going on. And when you talk to these folks that have experienced this, it is very fascinating to hear like how they happen, because they all kind of happen in a different way. Like with Eric, he felt like an actual beam come and kind of strike him and literally like knocked him off his feet. If you go to other stories, you have pilots that have, just by being in proximity to some of these things. And then we know we have a plethora of these cases working their way through the courts with Danny Sheehan, at least if we're to believe what Danny Sheehan is saying.
Mention Lou, Elizondo, and Chris Mellon, and many others on the inside that unfortunately will not ever be known in the roles that they've played to bring this forward. They have given a level of credibility to.
Ooh, if you just had a crystal ball, right? Lou Elizondo, hey, Christopher Mellon have given a level to credibility to UFO research and science. Unfortunately, that's not 100% true.
This. What we had done was, in looking at some of these MRIs, we had noticed damage in the brain, white matter disease it's called. If you know anybody, for instance, who's had multiple sclerosis, and you look at an image of their brain, you'll see these white matter objects. Oh yeah, you can see it there. Those white tracts there are just damage to the brain, right? Those are dead areas of the brain. And so if you have that dead area of the brain, whatever that function might have been is now gone. I mean, whatever it is, it's clearly been here for a long time. And it doesn't necessarily care so much about us, but in terms of, if it wanted to wipe us out, it could.
Clearly, obviously.
All you got to do is go out to the asteroid belt and push a big rock our way, and that's the end of us with the next dinosaur problem. So the next question is, well, if they've been here all along, before we were even civilized, well, whose planet is this really? He's written books about the matter, showing that if you go back into the historical records, things written by the scientists and philosophers and mayors and kings of the day, it's in the record. This object was seen, it looked like a wheel, or it looked like a shield, and it showed up over our battles, and, et cetera, et cetera.
Garry Nolan, 2022, he is 100% the guy. He wants to be kind of the man that is helping experiencers, especially experiencers that are injured, especially experiences that are injured that are in the military. In the military, obviously, if you can get the person's commander or higher up into what you're trying to do, then they're going to pretty much order this person to do what you need them to do. And then it's also going to be easier to just keep said DNA, keep said blood, as we heard him say in that interview that he had taken blood from multiple people. We've heard the rumors and the whispers about him taking blood and requesting samples and DNA from other experiencers, to the point where it's gotten kind of weird. And you don't have to take my word for it. Go out there, search it for yourself, look up these different experiencers that have had interactions with Garry Nolan, and they're not all unicorns and rainbows. Some of them get kind of weird. Okay, so here's Matt Gaetz on The Benny Show.
Wait a second, you had whistleblowers tell you this kind of thing? Can you please unpack that?
Yeah, I had a guy who was uniformed. He was a senior enlisted with the United States Army. He came into my office in Crestview, Florida, in a non-classified setting. I had members of my staff there, and what they explained is that the military ran a very secret program where aliens that were living were in forced breeding programs with humans that had been abducted from war zones and from even the caravans of migrants, like between 6 and 12 locations around the country. The testimony was that in crashes of craft that had been recovered by the CIA and through a special program that the CIA had for crash recovery, that it wasn't just, the hard materials, it was also biologics, but that they couldn't identify a human source of those biologics. I'm not saying I believe that there are hybrid breeding programs, but I do believe that there has been crash recovery. And I do believe that we have that information. I mean, right now, Benny, shit. I mean, we see all these scientists disappearing. Like, what is more dangerous to have on your LinkedIn right now? IRGC general or UFO scientist? What I observed was classified, but I could tell you just as my reaction to that observation is that when you see radar of multiple vessels or craft merging into one vessel and then being able to merge out of that and into that repeatedly, that is not a technology that we possess or that any of our adversaries possess. But I believe that when you see that type of thing on radar, you start to wonder where that comes from.
Because that's what happens here. It breaks into like 4 different pieces and then it forms back together.
All right. That's a lot to unpack there, right? So first of all, he was briefed on a hybrid program, and it sounds like what the type of hybrid program that it was mixing. It was us doing it. It was not the aliens. And it was mixing whatever this biologic, non-human material was with either human DNA or humans altogether. I mean, it's really hard to say, but at some capacity, it sounds like we had a program to see what would happen if we mix this non-human DNA with ours. And that's like something from the X-Files. I mean, it's so crazy to think about, but at the same time, like with everything that we have been finding out lately, it's not as shocking, right? And it makes me wonder, after watching Garry Nolan explain, you can see the desire there for more access, more experiencers that have whatever the secret sauce is, right? Whatever it is that connects them to these, some people call it craft beings. Some people believe it's like plasma, angels. Some people believe they're demons. I don't, but whatever you think these things are, there are folks that have an ability to communicate with them on some level. Personally, I don't know if I'm jealous of that or if I'm terrified of that, right? Because I know the experience that I had, the more recent experience being an adult, because my first experience happened when I was a teenager, and I don't even know if that was really an experience or if I just saw some experimental craft. As I've gotten older and stuff has come out about the triangle craft and the fact that it could be a Raytheon or some other skunkworks design or something like that they may have been messing around with in the 90s, which is the time when I saw that craft, which is in the early to mid 90s. But the last experience, that happened in my sleep. And that was a crazy one, and it's late, so I'm going to tell it again. Fuck it. I don't really remember what happened before or what happened after. But essentially, I find myself kind of coming out of a haze, if you will. Like everything's blurry. and things are becoming clear. My eyes are adjusting, and I'm now starting to see clearly. And what I'm seeing in front of me is a gray. I'm not going to launch into details because that's what it was. And if you've had an experience and seen one, you know. It was very intense. And I was face to face with this gray. And my reality, my brain, to prevent me from losing my mind, was literally telling me, this is a dream. This is a dream. This is a dream. But this is extremely vivid. And I looked at the gray, and he was wearing, of all things, like a gray kind of robe. I don't know why I can't think of the technical name, but a cloak. He's wearing a gray cloak, right? And it covered head to toe. He's wearing this cloak. And right as I make eye contact with it, I'm looking at in its rather large eyes. And it communicates to me, because I didn't see its mouth move, but it communicates to me and it asks me, do you want to know if we are real? And I thought about it for a second. And at the end of the day, after all the internal debate, I said, yes, I do want to know. I do want to know if you're real. Once I had told it, them, they, that I did want to know, and it told me, yes, we are real. And it put out its hand, reached out its hand to like shake my hand. I broke down, weeping like I had never wept before. And this was not a dream cry, if that's even a thing. I felt this deep down. And I knew this was real. And these species, they, whatever they may be, I'm not going to claim to know, but they are real. Luckily, I don't have any memories of being abducted or, because that sounds like torture to me. What's interesting is, as time goes by and I start to put these pieces together slowly, because I'm not very bright, I see that, the folks that get the most attention about this, your Garry Nolans, your Hal Puthoffs, your Joe Rogans, your Whitley Strieber's, your Travis Waltons, right? Your Eric Davises. This group of folks has had a stranglehold on anything in this community for decades. Folks tend to go to names that they trust, and that becomes a big deal, right? You want to know where people stand as far as what they call evidence, what they call facts, and what they call nonsense, what their standard is. If Garry Nolan is stealing these folks' DNA and their experiencers, and we also know if Matt Gaetz, what he was told was true, there's a hybrid program mixing whatever they have with human DNA. Could they have been after that experiencer blood to potentially mix it with whatever non-human thing they have to see if it would have any different results or any different outcomes? I don't know. When you think about it, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Skywatcher was going to break the mold on what we held true as evidence before. They had the different types of craft. They had a targeting system. They had a way to determine the differences in the types of craft or UAP. But then a few years later, Garry Nolan, just a couple weeks ago, giving his slide presentation at the UAP summit, says Skywatcher was essentially a research project. It was a very expensive research project. And while having the psionic people there may have had an impact, he couldn't prove that they had an impact. But he does believe some of the anomalies that they captured were legitimate. But it cost a ton of money. And Skywatcher's done. Whatever knowledge they gained, whatever tricks of the trade they learned in their research, they are keeping tight to the vest. And they will use that when people want to invest money and find out more. So they have a product now. And that's essentially what they've become. And unfortunately, there's so many things that are like that, right? You can book yourself a tour in New Mexico to go watch orb UAPs fly up and down. You can follow Chris Bledsoe to one of these events that he was told not to go to, but decided to start going to anyway. There's just so much weirdness, and it comes back to this group of folks that kind of have this chokehold, this level that we all look to, and anyone outside of that group, they don't have any attention paid to them. And I just find that really weird. It's like a UFO celebrity. It's a level of fame that these folks go after. And not all of them, but some of them. And that's something to be wary of as we wrap up the Gaetz interview here and get into this Lakatsky one.
Imagine a world in which you saw almost like a flight formation, and then all merging into one and then going right back into that formation.
So he's saying that he has seen something similar to the UAP footage that came out that showed, I believe it was a Tomahawk missile fired at whatever this craft was. The craft, it looks like, absorbed or kind of bounced off of the hit. 3 or 4 little pieces broke away, but continued moving with whatever it was that they hit was. And then it appeared that they reattached. And what Gaetz is saying is he's seen radar and drone footage where he's seen a large object that is separated into a bunch of smaller objects, stayed in formation, right? And then merged back together and then continued on its way. And that's just stuff that we do not have. If we have it, they have certainly done a good job at keeping a lid on it. So is Garry Nolan stealing DNA, and does he have a patent that he used this DNA to create? Well, I went ahead and started going through the list here. I even have the USA, the Justia patents slides up, slides website up. And you can see here, I just looked from 2017 because to me, that was kind of the pivot point. And maybe we'll do a full episode on this and I'll look into it further. But essentially, it comes from Stanford's official patent list for Nolan. So in 2017, there were 3 patents. 2018, there were 4. 2019, there were 3. 2020, there were 2. 2021, there were 4. 2022, there were 3. 2023, there were 7. 7 patents in 2023, and that does not include pending applications. And that might be why at this point, this rumored inhaler or nose inhaler, I don't know. Whatever it is, it could be in this pending application status, and that may be why we're not coming back with any results on any kind of inhaler or anything like that. But multiple patents, a lot of them, as I said earlier, have to do with his work. So to get past certain roadblocks in his work, he's had to actually patent certain tools to get the job done. From 2022 to 2025 alone, there's 10 plus additional filings and continuations, plus a new 2025-2026 application on spatial barcoding. Now, this is interesting because he has a lot of patents on barcoding. And I am not a scientist, but going through, I'm not going to bore you with the actual verbiage of the patents. Maybe I will with some of them, but most of them have to do with working with genes. Not blue genes, not gap genes. Genetics. So a lot of it has to do with like the barcode system, these barcode patents. We're talking about finding a way to place a barcode on microscopic fragments, even like at the atomic level, like DNA. So let's say you want something to be as recognizable as DNA, right? Like you want a special blood type. Let's say you have an experiencer's blood. And instead of just saying they're A negative or O positive, you want to be able to say, you know, for a fact that this blood is from an experiencer. So you could come up with a barcode tracking system. And you could say that is reliable as DNA because it has all these points of confirmation, right? And all these scan in, scan out points. So you could actually create like your own blood type. You got A positive, you got A negative, B positive. Oh, and you got experiencer blood. You got E B positive and E A negative. That's fucking creepy, y'all. And that could be what's going on. I don't know. I just know I don't trust any of these bastards. The involvement that so many of them have with intelligence officials is just wacky. And then you have like the whole fact that it's okay now for our intelligence to just bamboozle the entire United States if it wants to, if it thinks it's in the best interest of the country. Who makes that decision? I don't know. Now, there was a time when, oh my God, if Lakatsky was coming out and doing an interview, we were going live that day. We were literally seconds behind when they dropped a stream broadcasting it. And I remember going through one of these with a good friend, Eric Hecker, and Eric pointing out to me, Gabe, this guy's full of shit. This guy is an expert at bullshit. This is a new interview he did with Jeremy Corbell. And the reason I'm doing this on X only and not YouTube is because probably a little ways into this, YouTube would copyright me or something and we wouldn't be able to complete the stream. So I want to watch it, and also wanted to have a record of it in my own weird way, my own weird digital footprint way. So we're going to check out some. I've already fast forwarded it a little bit. And if you don't know who Lakatsky is, you haven't watched any of my streams. I'm just kidding. If you don't know who Lakatsky is, Lakatsky was, so Hal Puthoff was, I'm sorry, not Hal Puthoff. It was not Hal Puthoff. It was someone else. I can't remember who it was at the current time. It'll come to me later. But whoever had started OSAP, okay, Lakatsky was the first hire in. So you had the OG that was assigned with the project, the program manager or project manager, if you will. And then you had Lakatsky being their first hire. So very important employee at ATIP. He was involved with a lot of the stuff that happened with Skinwalker. He was involved with a lot of the DIRD reports and a lot of the crazier stuff we hear about that has happened out at Skinwalker comes from this man's reports and him being a part of these other people making reports, but essentially him being in the sphere of all this shit going down. And he is an expert at dodging any kind of question that may implicate him or that provides any kind of like proof or evidence. For instance, this is the gentleman that told us he had been a part of a group that breached a UFO that had popped open the door of a UFO, an unidentified flying object, a unidentified anomalous phenomena, whatever it was. He wouldn't expand on what it looked like. It's believed it might have been one of the egg UFOs, but that's all conjecture. So he says he was in this group that popped the hatch of this UFO, and then that's it. He won't go any further other than to say, yeah, we looked inside. Everything else is classified. So that's who this guy is. And oh, by the way, he's about to release, I can't remember if it's a 1 or a 2-part book. It might be a 2-part book. A 1 or 2-part book that's going to reveal more information. But of course you'll have to, buy the book. He's kind of old school. He wants you to buy his book.
Everything they released on Kona Blue was correct. All I'm saying is it was incomplete.
Omission.
It's correct. There, in fact, we were very diligent in doing our threat analysis because we had access to the highest levels of threat intelligence, but you had to release it at the secret level so everyone could use it. We were very, very specific and very clear that none of us were to just make up story out of thin air at the secret level. It had to be supported by the higher level intelligence. It was the truth. And we did the same thing throughout OSAP. When it was untrue that it was an unclassified program. It was highly classified. But everything you got out here and checked by the Pentagon is unclassified, but the story's in there. I can't emphasize that anymore. You're going through it bit by bit.
Okay, if you can't remember Kona Blue, here is a very quick conversation on News Nation about Kona Blue after DHS declassified the documents. Of course, I don't think DHS is working right now, so obviously this is from a few months ago.
Now is News Nation's special correspondent Ross Coulthart. What's your reaction, Ross, to these declassified, now newly declassified documents in Kona Blue?
Good evening, Elizabeth. Well, look, it does sound sci-fi, but I can tell you there are people inside the Defense Department, former and serving, who do believe that the claims made in the Kona Blue documents were authentic. But that's vigorously disputed, of course, by the ARROW, the Pentagon's UAP investigation team. They did their historical review and published a few weeks ago, and they said, yes, there was this codename Kona Blue program that was proposed, never implemented, but proposed as a special access program, one of the deepest, darkest secrets in the US government. And they claim at ARROW that, of course, they investigated and they found no evidence to support claims of retrieved non-human technology. All I can tell you, Elizabeth, is that we now have a very clear difference of opinion inside the Defense Department and also inside the intelligence community.
So the biggest debate about Kona Blue is the DHS declassified the documents. The military Pentagon stance is that it was a proposed program about recovering UAP. It wasn't real. It was proposed, or not, it wasn't real, but it was proposed. It was never put into effect. And here's where people get confused as well, because we had crash retrieval teams, obviously, that would try to retrieve any foreign spy craft. So if a Russian spy jet crashes in Ohio or New Mexico desert, we have teams that go in there, special units, to grab it and clean it up. That makes perfect sense. Of course, you're going to have that. And now with drones being the pain in the ass that they are, those teams are, I'm sure, contracted out by the hundreds. There's no way those are all government employees. With all the drones we hear about, no way. So the confusion comes from, okay, we have this real program to deal with our enemies, potentially allies, spying on us. Does that mean we also have the same program for UFOs and UAP? Or do we use the same program? Or do we have a completely separate program? Or do we have no program? And what the Pentagon wants us to believe is that we have no program. Even though we had this proposal and interest, we didn't do anything about it. And the Pentagon, they never lie to the people, right? So we should just take them at their word and not question that.
One thing that does upset me is when I see things on the internet of people diligently going through the books, diligently, and they're going in the wrong direction. if people thought that the request for proposal was obscure, well, it was meant to be. But is there an untrue statement in there? Nope, that's what we wanted. But we were very specific of going with the small contractors because we knew that with a small contractor like
we could control them and then, snuff them out if we need. I kid. One thing I remember, because this is making me think of it now, the last time Lakatsky was on with these two, I remember thinking of it then, which is this, when Lakatsky speaks about this phenomena and the level of, after there would be a sighting or an event where multiple people would see something, experience something, that in that general area afterwards, there would oftentimes be like what could only be described as paranormal events. And to me, I was very drawn to Patrick Jackson's research on this of the sphere network. And if you're not familiar with Patrick Jackson's sphere network theory, I cannot encourage you enough to go check it out. I held a space on it before on X, and people were really interested in it and talking about it. An elevator pitch deal, like basically you have orbs, and Patrick, please don't hate me, I'm going to do my best I can here. But you have essentially a system that protects us, civilization, from some type of being or beings that could cause us harm. And these systems, when you get near them or when you trigger them, it can cause humans that are near them to experience what can only be described as paranormal events. And I believe Mr. Jackson explains there's like 3 different levels of these spheres, ranging from on the ground, like we just heard someone describe orbs on the ground, to the sky and beyond. To infinity and beyond, y'all. To infinity and beyond. But yes, check out Patrick Jackson. It's pretty good stuff.
Bigelow Aerospace, and an even smaller one, Bass, their specialized study for this contract, they could form it from the ground up. We weren't inheriting a structure from a big aerospace company.
Out of the gate. Chupacabra magnet. Oh my God. We've got Chupacabra magnet in the house. And you're still muted.
Good evening. Good evening.
Oh, there he is.
It is It's not Flak. It is definitely 100% Chupacabra magnet.
You have to get your voice way deeper to be Chupacabra.
That is absolutely true. I concur.
We used to have I have a friend, and in high school we had a band and he played bass, and it was so perfect because his name was Dave and he talked like this everywhere he went. Hey,
oh, that's
Dave.
Awesome for a bass player.
My name's Dave, and I also play the bass. How are you, friend?
Good. I'm so sorry I'm late. I was causing shenanigans with my friends, and I didn't realize that my other friend was in dire need of some kind of wacky Draculia.
Yeah, I love it when you stop by, absolutely. But you're never late, buddy.
Dude, always late. Listen, I run on Flak Magnet time. It's very true. It's
look, if people can't appreciate that, then fuck them, right? Yep. Now, this space I'm holding is because Garry Nolan well, he's one of the main topics here, who since 2017 has 26 patents at the patent office that we know of. Garry Nolan is being accused of stealing people's blood and DNA.
Yes. I recall this. Us in the underground, we know all about the blood of Garry Nolan and his efforts.
Right. And you being a big fan of blood, I know that you followed it pretty closely.
It's a bit of a misnomer. I am in the business.
Come on,
I do not love my work. I do not take it home with me.
He's lying.
Listen, if anyone has any extra blood lying around, you could send it on over to P.O. Box 6666666 Underground Devilish Way.
That's dangerous. Okay, so what do you think of that, buddy? Let's say you're an experiencer and you have this Stanford UFO celebrity guy asking you to send him some of your blood. What do you think of that?
I'd be a little weirded out. I would say, are you a vampire? You know, like, and now I know this because that happens every time I try to crowdsource blood.
Yeah. And so he did an interview in 2022 with Tucker Carlson.
As I like to call him, Fucker Carlson.
Fucker Carlson and Fucker Carlson.
I don't know. I like it.
Either way. So he did an interview on that show, and well, it's the most I've seen him talk about the medical side of things, and I think I was able to do a little remix on a Drake song here.
Nice.
It's just gonna be the end.
I used to call you on my blood phone.
Yeah, I won't make you sit through too much, but here we go.
Yeah. And I took their blood. 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 And the brain injuries. And
what do you think? Was that good?
That was nice, dude. He kept it in a little baggie under his bed for safekeeping, with a very long straw.
All I got is 2 turntables and a microphone. You know, that's it. 2 turntables and a microphone. That's where it's at.
Dude, Beck is an underrated artist. First off, that was
underrated. Didn't he get like a
him
Grammy?
In the hairy suit? Yeah, a little bit. Far too underrated, if you ask me. Should have got 2 Grammys.
I think he just stopped doing the. I don't know. He didn't do the pop thing anymore.
He retired, I think, is what happened. He just fucking chilling right now.
Pulled a Moby.
Yep.
What happened to Moby?
He's as pale as the day he was born. That's all I know.
All right, so
just as hairless.
Here's Garry and Fucker. Here we go. Garry with 2 R's, by the way. 2 R's.
Just a side benefit of studying this allowed us to come up with a medical.
Okay, what's weird about this though is like it says, like if you look at the words on there, Caudate, Putamen, more than movement control, episodic memory, crystallized intelligence, cognitive control, fluid intelligence, category learning, especially high performers. The candidate, I can't exactly read that. The Caudate Putamen have many connections, but not as densely as we notice at the inferior head of the Caudate mid-superior Putamen. Whatever the fuck that means.
You don't know what that means?
I have no idea.
It's about the stuff and the things, you know. You know what that means to Putamen? He takes the blood and he put him in his pocket.
My friend, that is a good one.
Blah.
Blah. So I think he's saying, cognitive, that's the thinking part of your brain, right? Like the what you're aware of. You have like your subconscious and these like reflexes and other parts of your brain, but your cognitive is like controls your motor functions and things like that, right?
Yep.
And also like keeps you grounded in reality. I think is.
And I don't know what the blood does. All I know is that.
Or is that the other one, the frontal? Anyway,
the patula oblongata.
Patula oblongata. Yeah, Mama said.
When you see brain damage, that's when people start paying attention. Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon and many others on the inside that unfortunately will not ever be known in the roles that they've played to bring this forward. They have given a level of credibility to this.
Oh man, Time. What was that Bob Marley song?
No Woman, No Cry?
No Woman, No Cry. That's the one. That's the one about time. Yeah. It's interesting. In 2022, Lou Elizondo and Christopher Mellon added credibility to this. What do you think of that statement, Mr. Magnet?
Oh, wonderful. Because I didn't know they were also in the blood business.
Chef's kiss, right? Why not? So I guess Mr. Nolan has done a good job distancing himself from Lou Elizondo and his online hate attacks.
What we had done was, in looking at some of these MRIs, we had noticed damage in the brain, white matter disease, it's called. If you know anybody.
Now that's kind of wild, dude. Look at that.
Kuru, bro.
That is wild. And then look what it says. Advanced Sight Gravity Research. Threat Post and Pre-Research. So they were working at an advanced research company on gravity research. And whatever they were working on caused, look at the damage. Look at that white cell or white brain damage in the middle on that right side there. That's insane. And what might be even crazy, just as crazy as the fact that, did they forget to take down that the guy was doing gravity research, or did they leave that up there on purpose? INT, FX, SNDX, interference syndrome. I mean, what can cause like radiation?
Microwave probably.
Microwave, right? Radiation frequencies?
Yeah.
Like really, really high frequencies or the wrong frequencies? I don't know.
Proximity to radioactive materials.
Right.
But,
yeah.
Like X-ray machines and whatnot.
Dude, but like right in the middle of their brain.
I would say directed. DEW. It would be my approach there.
So maybe it's just the fact that they're doing the research at all. Like one Amy Eskridge.
It'd be interesting to know if they tried to get her blood.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think her family would allow anything like that to happen.
I mean, beforehand, because supposedly it was going on for a while.
Yeah, the great blood grab of 2018 or whatever it was. It's just so crazy.
Well, you know what? That is kind of what was going on, but maybe a little bit before that with the 23andMe and the Ancestry.com and the send your blood over to this place so we can look at your this thing. Because we did find that with the Epstein files too.
Yeah.
Because it was the Sultan. I remember him getting at least 30 23andMe blood packs, like a blood swab test.
Yes. Yeah. Now, Matt Gaetz. What are your thoughts on Matt Gaetz?
Gaetz is weird, but I think they tried to stitch him up. Gaetz. My problem with Gaetz is he fucking tucked tail and ran. The thing is, like, it came out in court and everything, right? So they tried to honeypot him by getting a girl who was 19, right? I think it was an extramarital, or maybe he was cheating on his girlfriend when he did this. But he went to some event with a 19-year-old, right? But how they tried to stitch him up was they gave her a fake ID that said she was 16. right? So she wasn't, but they tried to make it look like it. And when it came out, and they went to Discovery and all sorts of shit, like it was a big thing behind the scenes. It came out that she was 19, that she had a fake ID that said she was younger, which is fucking crazy, huh? Same thing. Like, this was my complaints about Podesta. Of all the things claimed about Podesta, now you want him to be the one, not saying you personally, but like Tom DeLonge. Tom DeLonge, you want him to be the one who brings fucking UFOs to the big. Go fuck yourself, Tom. Go fuck yourself. Anyone else who's trying to use Podesta to bring in fucking UFOs into anything, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a plethora of his own issues, right?
Well, yeah, and his brother has absolutely the most disgusting art collection I've ever seen in my life, and this is coming from somebody who's worked in that industry, and I've seen hundreds upon thousands of beautiful pieces of art as well as controversial ones, and his aren't controversial; they're fucking disgusting.
This is the Matt Gaetz on the Benny Show talking about this hybrid program, and I was saying earlier, it's interesting because this is not aliens abducting people and jerking off a dude into a cup and then making a baby out of it, right? This is humans taking people's whatever and mixing it with whatever NHI compound they have there and seeing what happens. So when I think hybrid, I think of the whole David Jacobs, hybrid alien abduction thing.
Hybrid is just a hybrid with a lot of hubris. We have to remember that.
That's right. It's true. It's yeah. But if you want to see what a hybrid looks like, you can watch that documentary on the LDS with Warren Jeffs.
Yeah, there's also another one. You might know her as Laura Loomer. She's a hybrid. She's a very hubris hybrid. Take one look at that face, you can tell.
You can see it. You can see it. So this is interesting that it's the humans doing the hybridization and not the aliens.
Non-human biologics, interracial alien mating. What the F is going on? Look, wait a second. You had whistleblowers tell you this kind of thing? Can you please unpack that?
I had a guy who was uniformed. He was a senior enlisted with the United States Army. Came into my office in Crestview, Florida, in a non-classified setting. I had members of my staff there, and what they explained is that the military ran a very secret program where aliens that were living were in forced breeding programs with humans that had been abducted from war zones and from even the caravans of migrants, like between 6 and 12 locations around the country where this happened. The testimony was that in crashes of craft that had been recovered by the CIA and through a special program that the CIA had for crash recovery, that it wasn't just the hard materials, it was also biologics, but that they couldn't identify a human source of those biologics.
Piss him right in his face. I don't know. I think it's all bullshit. It's always secondhand fucking testimony about some guy who came in with some story about another guy. I'm tired of it. I don't care. I saw my shit now. I've had my disclosure. I am over it being sold to me by pedophiles in the White House. And go, all of them, they in unison can enjoy themselves behind the dumpster at Walmart. Okay. And I am on, that's me. It's my wacky opinions. I'm just, Gabriel, I'm tired of being fucking lied to, buddy. I'm tired of being lied to by everybody about everything,
Here's the guy that says he never made money on his story, selling his tape for $29.95.
Piss him.
But I don't even make money on this.
Piss you, Bob. I'm back off the Bob train. I was on the Bob train, back off the Bob train. Piss you right in your piss face.
Oh, but if you're ever are thinking he's being truthful, just go to Louise's site, man. ufologyiscorrupt.com, and read his write-up on Lazar that is 100% backed by evidence and Lazar's own statements and everything else. You'll be like, oh, okay. I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, and he points to where, like, his sport models that he was selling on eBay, he was able to get screenshots of all that stuff. Like, it's ridiculous, dude. He's been making money off of this since it's been a story. Chris Bledsoe filed bankruptcy and was essentially a millionaire to was essentially out of business after the 2008 mortgage crisis hit. And we've played his video where he had a bunch of complaints as a contractor in his new neighborhood. Shit like water falling in through roofs and other shit. Doors not fitting as they should. Typical contractor complaints, but apparently was taking a long time getting those things resolved. And then the 2008 thing hit and it ruined him. But he has a run-in with the lady and a semi-abduction event and writes a book, and he's back on top of the world. Weird how that works. It gets old, buddy. You're right. So, and it's the same thing with this guy. It's the same thing with this guy. He just put out his 4th book. He's doing this interview because he wants you to buy his 4th book.
We know there's a medical impact. In fact, it's quite significant, and I'm surprised we were able to release legally what we put in Pentagon.
So the DIA is aware.
Pentagon.
That's what drives me nuts. You know, oh, we know we had a medical impact, but he will not. So it piques your interest. You're like, what the fuck do you mean you had a medical incident? But he won't expand on that. But maybe if you buy his book, there might be something in there about it. It's just so frustrating.
The DIA itself is very aware now because of your work that there are close contact to non-humans. Is that correct?
Well, from this study, we are. You know, not everything's in here, but everything's in here. It's just that.
That's such bullshit. Not everything's in here, but everything's in here. They are aware, but they're aware from the study. They're not aware from reality. Huh? Why do you have to say they're aware from the study? What? You see what I'm saying here, Flak? You can identify it within the first few minutes, right?
I'm going to quote one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's known as Forgetting Sarah Marshall, right? Bullshit, 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 bullshit.
Yes, he is an expert bullshitter. And it's just...
I just want to know, and I'm not one of those piece of shit debunkers either, you know?
Right.
This is just, we're just going off of logic in this man's own batshit crazy words.
Right. I'm the furthest thing from a debunker. I just don't like people that
lie to you and all your friends. Yeah, to your face, just bold-faced lies.
Right, lying to myself and lying to an entire community, and there's communities within that community that this stuff means a lot to them.
Well, just think, like, we're the people that are finally fucking listening and giving you the time of goddamn day. You know, just the subject matter alone, we're giving the time of day. To just to get a spit on and told that it's raining is insane.
Right. And you know, we sit here and we watch, and the reason I have kind of a negative attitude about it is because, like, I remember watching the last Lakatsky interview, and the way that I viewed that and the way that Eric Heckard viewed that was through a very different lens. And he really opened my eyes to a few things, like that, he's not giving more information. He's causing more confusion.
Well, what I like about Eric too is his ability to just go, I don't know, if he doesn't know something. You know what I mean? He goes, this is what I think, but I don't know, and I'm totally capable of taking an I don't know from someone.
For sure.
Like, to me, that's totally acceptable. If you don't know, I expect you to tell me you don't know.
Exactly. Which makes it hard for people like myself that happen to know everything.
Yep, you and my ex-girlfriend, actually.
Between me and my brother, we know everything. Ask me questions. Okay.
Oh, God.
Here's more Lakatsky.
How do you read it?
There's some big stories in here that no one is pursuing. They're in the 4 books.
Oh, how do you read it?
Just like you're doing. You read but you have to think too. And you're doing it. I have no problem, but I'm not sure a lot do. A lot think they can discuss these books on the internet and they're getting the gist of it all. No way are you.
The 4 books, again, I mean, it seems like it's the equivalent of disclosure given that.
Nope, you got to buy the books and then read them.
Okay,
you
so
can't just talk about it.
So now let's say we do that, and then that means disclosure. I want to know how that's
what
possible.
George Knapp just said. He just said these 4 books are disclosure.
So from what then?
You have to buy the 4 books, Flak.
I don't know.
I
got
can't just talk about it online.
I kind of got that beat, man. I seen some shit, man, with my own two peepers. I seen it with my own eyes, and it was a long time ago. But now it's the books I gotta buy.
All
that
4.
are the true disclosure. Okay, all right.
4, and possibly a 5th and 6th.
Can I? Since this guy's grifting, can I grift real quick? Can I grift for the show?
Dude, hell yeah.
Oh, please send us all your money. You've got Jewish space wizard hemorrhoids that are killing me. Oh, the DWs, they're hurting.
Given that these cases that are in there and the specifics and the incidents that happened were investigated by an official governmentally authorized and financed program.
Official.
They're real. They really did happen. Things did happen. What you don't do in the books is sort of draw conclusions. Hey, these are aliens, these are ETs, these are not us. Do you have conclusions from the 4, or is it something that you purposely want us to arrive at on our own?
At it, George. You need to arrive at it on our own because we can't give you a final answer. That this is wide open, and that's why these books are structured that way. You didn't like the term textbook. It's been used on reviews of these books, but guidebooks. Let's use that term, guidebooks. It's a great field to be in. It's great.
Does anyone know the answers to the big questions? Who are they? Is it non-human intelligence? If so, where they're from, why they're here, what their interest is in us? Do you know the answers to those? Government, intelligence community, no?
I don't, and I don't know anyone that does, and I would seriously question their claim that they do. You can't say, I'm going to research UFOs and have a medical degree. You can't do that in advance. If it comes to you while you've had your medical degree and people are claiming they've seen flying saucers or seen aliens or whatever, at least you're open to that. These books, I expect young folks, if they read them, and you've given me another idea, George, should we do a young person's book? Something that's much smaller and not as detailed. I mean, this was.
Oh my God, this guy. So he has the 4 books that, according to George Knapp, amount to disclosure, and then he's gonna start young people's books, so like kids' books for disclosure.
Can't you just make it the same book? What if he makes the kid's book like 10 pages and you wasted all of your money on the grown-ups book? 4 books?
He's got 4. He said potentially there's going to be 6 books. And then eventually he's going to talk about everything that happened with OSAP, but not everything. And then he's going to write kids UFO books. Tell you what, we're going to jump to this thread 3 because that's one that I do have trouble. There's the documents that were released via the news website that George Knapp works for. And those are the only ones I've downloaded that I call official. But those are only, I don't even think there's 20 to 30 pages. And then what he tells Luna under oath at the UAP hearings is that the Thread 3 documents were like hundreds of pages and that he would turn them over right away. So those Thread 3 hundreds of pages of stuff are somewhere, but we the people don't have access to all of them. We have access to a very small amount of them. And it looks like they're not going to get into it much because it looks like we only talk about it for a couple minutes here, but let's see what they say.
As they were all marked highly secret in Soviet markings, Russian markings. I would say that this is contrary to what's out there on the internet, that we patterned our program after these. Well, we received them too late in the program to actually pattern anything after the Thread 3 documents. We were in the process of studying them, and that's when we were running into rough waters with the program continuing beyond. And actually, we hadn't planned to do research on them anyway. That would have been in a 3rd year, 4th year of the program. Well, they were, I don't know if they had I would call it very organized collection effort by MUFON. MUFON was very smooth organization when we were dealing with them, and they were supplying us the key cases. We were able to really utilize that properly. I didn't see where the Russians were making any attempt to do that.
Wow. I mean, so basically what we have here is 30 minutes of decent content about what he went through in an hour of plugging his books in one way, shape, or form. So I'm not going to subject the audience to any more of that nonsense. I guess you would need to read the man's book to get any knowledge out of it, out of him, as far as his time on OSAP and the program there.
I think a couple of well-placed nipple twists would work, right?
Oh my goodness, man. It's
the thing is counter, you got to go counterclockwise, normal clockwise on both. Same time, right frequency of twisting, you'll get all the answers you want. I learned that from the Dracula CIA.
Yeah. And then if you do the thing where you hawk it, you let the loogie hang above their head, you hawk it and you hang it above their head and slurp it back up if you have to.
It's a different kind of waterboarding they taught us in bully school.
Gets them every time. Oh my gosh. So what did we learn tonight, folks? We learned don't steal blood. All right. Unless
you don't gotta steal it anyway. People leave it lying around all the time.
If you count Flacula,
you wouldn't believe how much blood people just leave. You lose it, it evaporates right out of your pores. You're not going to need any of it. Send it on our way.
I believe it.
BuyMeABloodToffee.com.
What a world. So don't steal DNA. Don't steal blood. Don't do those types of things. Jesus also save the aliens.
He also didn't want your blood. He said, keep your blood, beautiful people. Keep it in your body. Enjoy a bit of my blood in the shape of some wine.
That's right. That's right. And Bob Lazar never made a dime off the Bob Lazar. Oh, wait.
Dude, I'm disgusted with Bobby lasers right now.
What's got you so mad at him?
Just the whole thing, the whole shebang. I thought he didn't make a single cent off
You
of
thought
maybe
that for real?
well, no, I know he made a couple bucks off of the what's it called, the testers model, the sport model.
Yeah, the sport model.
But I thought that he kept it pretty above board with the UFO business.
Nah, buddy. Yeah.
He's
Another
a
interesting
titty
fact.
weasel.
You know, are you familiar with Chris Ramsey, the podcaster?
Yes, sir. I am. He does the magic tricks.
Yes, he just dropped a Bob Lazar interview, and in one of the comments, he said that he had been holding onto that interview for a year. So he did the interview with Bob Lazar a year ago and waited until now to drop it. Find that interesting.
Likely story, Mr. Ramsey. Likely story.
Well, even if it's, it probably is true. And I think that that's interesting. That this, he's all about the truth guy, get the truth out, whatever. But you were sitting on a Bob Lazar interview for a year? Okay.
Did you notice if his pants were smoking? Did you see any flames emanating from that area?
Well, that
Chupacabra is fine. He's totally okay. He's totally fine. He's got all of the blood that he started with, I promise.
I was a little concerned seeing that you had absorbed his colors in your PFP.
Yeah, totally normal. Everything is normal.
That happens with a transfer. Okay. All right. I figured.
He let me borrow some blood. I have to give it back.
Wow. That's crazy. But there's another guy that might want to borrow some blood.
Red Panda Quellis?
Yeah, we hit it tonight. Hybrids with Matt Gaetz. Blood Money from Garry Nolan, who is a whole nother kind of weirdness.
Yep.
Our book signings and deals.
The 4-book system.
Mr. Lukatsky, the 4, possibly 6-book system, and a new series for the young ones.
Just wait till he comes out with that one. It's going to be easier to read. There's probably going to be some pictures.
Larger print.
Larger print to take up more pages.
Will they be AI pictures, though? I loved how he had to describe AI pictures like nobody had ever done one before.
No, he likes the idea of making a children's book because he's just going to hire a bunch of children to use crayons to depict the images.
No. Here we go.
I'm going to call it crowdsourced.
Oh, man. It's always a son of a bitch. All right.
Say, kids, hold on to your blood, please. Don't give it to any of these fucking UFO grifters out here.
No.
No matter how nicely they ask, keep your blood. Okay? Keep
but
your
if
blood.
if you write Tri-Root Productions Ltd. at 1324 Southeastern Las Vegas, Nevada, and include your non-refundable check, cashier's check, or money order, plus $3.50 shipping, you could get your authentic Bob Lazar 1991 nationwide interview.
All over, folks. The whole nation. The best nation.
That's right. Flak Magnet, always a pleasure, buddy. Thank you for popping in.
Anytime, you sweet man. Yeah, I appreciate you. Listen, if you got any extra of that blood laying around, who you can send it to, and that's not Garry Nolan. Okay, don't send it to Garry.
Nolan.
He doesn't need any more blood.
No.
He's got enough.
He's got plenty.
What's funny is this was like a one thing joke, just the whole Dracula thing. It's morphed into something so much bigger and funnier.
Oh my God. Right?
How well does this fit in? I didn't think there'd be so many weird blood references between the Epstein and the UFOs and fucking everything else, dude.
Constantly, dude. What a fucking wild world, man. Yeah, that is funny. All the ties, and the Epstein UFO connections that constantly seem to happen. Those are fucking weird too.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I'm going to get myself some sleep. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with Flak and myself. We appreciate it. Have a great night. Stay safe. Look out for those beams, because the government's trying to turn you into a hybrid, not the aliens, folks.